Just a few fellas on a podcast, ripping in the pitching jokes and sharing some laughs. Right, with Jarret Bernstein. Ooh, they want to know if it's something, if it's anything. Often featuring Leedy Corbin.
Hey, it's Jarret Bernstein coming at you.
Leedy, can I hear you?
Hello, it's Leedy Corbin coming at you.
Yeah, sound about me.
Everybody's coming at me. I've got no time. They're on my tail. They're outflanking me.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Going,
Is this anything? Coming at you. Doing our bits.
Ooh.
Brett is checking the gigabits, making sure that they're in the right place. Leedy and I are on the road. Rob is looking rested and recuperated from the last time we saw him. He's got a little bit of a little spring in his step. A little pep.
Well, I've got a little spring in my step because I just got a package that I was pretty excited about. I got a couple other packages which are cool, but those will still remain a mystery till later. But this package, can be revealed today. No. It'll probably be in a couple weeks. I'll let you guys know if it even comes up. Mm-hmm. But this one is exciting because my roommate. My temporary roommate right now, this guy Zach, he happens to be just a really, really good cook. Like pretty excellent. He takes real time and care, spends sometimes several hours a night just to prepare himself dinner. Like he just really cares about it that much. And I have been lucky enough to been able to just be present in just watching him cook, helping him, but certainly in eating many of his meals. And it's just been so nice. It's been like he'll just make something as like a fried chicken sandwich from scratch and just be like, what this is the best thing I've ever had. It's just insane. Like he just starts, he'll just say, I got some chicken thighs, and then like 3 hours later I'm eating this like perfectly breaded thing with like toasted bun. I'm like, this is insane.
Well, and no big deal. I just, dusted the chicken in a little bit of cornmeal and a special spice blend. And, you want to make sure that you coat that and let that rest for about 30 minutes in the fridge. And obviously you're going to want to use a different oil blend because you want a low smoke point. And obviously we're going to skin the potatoes because that's going to be part of the breading. And
he fried the goop.
Yeah, no big deal, right?
Fried the goop, exactly.
Can I just say, once I started making chicken thighs, once I cooked chicken thighs for the first time, I was like, I'll never go back to any other part of the chicken. Every other part of the chicken is a desert.
It's very true. And
I feel attacked.
That's exactly how. Well, you were coming at him earlier.
What did I say about the gigabits? Was that me coming at him?
You were saying this is Jarret Bernstein coming at you.
This will all make sense when I get to my catch-up.
I had no idea either, Jarret.
Yeah.
Until he literally said, "This is."
I remember
Jarret Bernstein coming at you. I'm impressed that you figured it out, Jarret.
Yes.
Well, first of all, my roommate would agree with you, Brett. Everything he does is just it's all thigh based, and it's great because when you do eat a breaded chicken sandwich, that's not this dry piece of white meat. You're just like, this is so much better. I don't understand why we're not doing this all the time. Anyway. So there's been that. We actually we had a couple of fun just cooking nights because I was like, hey man, like we made homemade pasta, us and the roomies. I was like, cool, and we're just rolling the thing out, which is cool. And I was like, we should make dumplings one night. He was like, are you kidding? You want to make dumplings? I was like, yeah, I want to make dumplings. So we made all the filling stuff. We made like 100 dumplings. It was great. So we've had some fun. And when we watch TV shows too, we'll get on like a Hell's Kitchen kick or Kitchen Nightmares or whatever, all that kind of stuff like that. And we're watching it for fun, but he's watching it like, oh yeah, they are screwing up. Like he he really cares. So he is also very into Japanese culture. Just happens to be big into it. He on his spare time he will translate Japanese comic books into English just because he likes it. So he'll take really obscure Japanese comics that he likes and goes, this should be in English. The internet needs to know what this book is saying.
I think that translating is cultural appropriation. It's good, but I could make it better if it was American.
Good time to put in some superior white words into this.
So he'll do that, and he speaks Japanese, very into Japanese culture, and then also will, like, and between that and the cooking stuff. So I said to him, I was like, hey man, maybe this Thursday night, if it wouldn't be too much trouble before I go back out on the road, maybe it'd be cool if we did like a Japanese night. Food-wise. And he was like, oh man, like he took it so seriously, so quickly. It instantly stressed him out, because I mentioned this to him like 2 days ago. He was like, I mean, it shouldn't have. It was so funny. Like anybody else would be like, no, or like whatever. He was like, of course we're doing that, but now I'm like, I'm fucked. You just fucked me.
I got a lot of translating to do.
By the way, Rob, this sounds like from knowing you when you were past this point already in your journey into pokerdom, but just this sounds like a similar trajectory where like you were like, yeah, my brother is a professional poker player, so I've just been talking to him about it. And then like, a little while later, you're like, so then he's flopping the goop. And I'm like, I know your number, pal. So I'm just picturing, 6 months from now, you have a chef's hat on. And
We're going to be
episode, you're eating some kind of cuisine.
We're going to be doing a show in, like Detroit or something. And you're like, all right, well, as soon as this is over, I got a shift at this Michelin star restaurant.
Rob, why did you book this the same night we have a show?
I just like being busy, It's like I like, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, as they say. You guys mind?
Gosh,
I gotta sharpen my knives.
So,
wait, hold on a second.
Keep going.
Remember, we're on the merch line. Sometimes we need each other's help to like get things. Rob, can you grab me one of those tour shirts? Yes, chef.
So he says, like I said, it was so funny that he's just like, all right, yeah, man, geez, I got a lot of shopping to do. All right, I'm going to be meal prepping for the next couple days. I was like, I don't mean to screw you over. I just, whatever. And then here's the thing that's still a surprise to him, and actually to my other roommate as well. He's in the other room. He's going to find out probably if I'm speaking too loud, that I had a little trick up my sleeve, and somehow I was able to get away with not telling him immediately, because the request I think was super weird, but he didn't find it to be weird. I just said, hey man, I want to do a Japanese night. To which he was like, no further questions, done. And I said, he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to do like a steak component. Like, I want that to kind of be part of the main, feature is the steak. And he was like, all right, yeah. And he's like, maybe we could do some kind of side noodle thing, but I can make that happen. And we were talking about or planning it out a little bit. Now, here's what he does not know is I just got this package today. Maybe you'll notice the insignia here. Mm-hmm. Okay, very familiar, right? Leedy, can you tell me what that is?
Rob, if this is something that is using dry ice to stay refrigerated, once you open it, you're gonna have to go put it in the fridge.
Correct.
Okay.
I like how
maybe that would stop you, but
I like how you're like, Leedy, do you know what this is? Do you know what sound it makes?
So now we get to turn our podcast into one of those box opening videos.
An unboxing.
Stream.
I've seen these before. Sometimes
really?
they're sneakers.
It's taken a while. It seems like you haven't seen one before.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of this gets edited out or done beforehand.
Yeah, right. They usually jump cut this. This is, by the way, shipped straight from Japan.
Wow.
This is a piece of a $200 Wagyu beef
Whoa.
Check out that marbling.
steak. Look at that. Have you seen such fat on a steak before?
Woo.
Wow.
That's like 100 chicken thighs. The
Wagyu beef is specifically a Japanese cow. And just their DNA winds up, their lineage just happens to be a particularly fatty kind of cow. And interestingly, learning a little bit of the history of Wagyu beef, once the trade deals had opened between Japan and America, it became difficult for Japan to compete with this cheap cattle that we have all over our Midwest and in Texas and stuff. And so Japan was a little bit worried about their own cattle business. But if you know what Japan's topography is like, not exactly a lot of grazing land, mostly mountainous. So they weren't doing so hot to begin with. They were a little reticent about making this trade deal, specifically because of their beef industry. So what they decided was like, well, what we could do is we could just go further niche. We could really focus on this particular brand of cattle that we have, which is this very high marbled, high fat, content cow. And what we'll do is we will just put all of our investment into making sure that this is a pure, high quality, type strip of meat. So we're not going to compete with the Americans with, volume, but we are going to try to compete with how
quality,
with the quality, exactly. So there started the Wagyu beef industry, which only since 2012, I believe, is the number, did they even start exporting that. So this has only been about a decade in the making of having steaks like this available. So anyway, my roommate has brought this up. I mean, the amount of times the word Wagyu has been said in this apartment is insane for any couple of guys living in a place. He's mentioned it many times, and he's even explicitly said, he's like, oh man, one day I just want to get one. I'm just going to get one. I'm going to cook it up. And
what a cool thing to do, Rob. This is a really nice move. Love it.
Oh, thank you. I am so excited because I like the idea of there aren't too many magical things that you can do for someone once they're an adult.
Someone's like, I've always wanted to do X, and you have the ability to give them X. That's amazing,
For Secret Santa, I got my sister-in-law, and I thought I very not coyly was asking her questions to show what kind of gift I was gonna get. So I was like, so you're going out on the road a lot for the claims that you're doing now? And she's like, yeah. I was like, so you eat in your car a lot? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, do you like that? She's like, yeah, I actually love eating in my car. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I just ended the conversation there. So I got her these seat fillers that go over the seat belt, and then they just fill in the crack between the center console and the seat, so that when food drops, it doesn't drop in there. And when I got it for her, it was like that perfect. It's not the exact same thing as the Wagyu beef, but it was like perfect gift. And she was like, this is perfect. This is so good. And I was like, so cool. You didn't know I was going to do this? It was so obvious.
Right. I was knowing what you actually got her and the questions that you asked her, and no human could have guessed that was what you were getting. I was like, oh, it's going to be like a tray, like a food tray that you eat off of and attaches to the steering wheel or something.
I think I may have even asked, does stuff fall between the seats? And she was like, it sucks.
That's a little closer. That's a little closer.
Yeah, funny.
So
Rob,
hypothetically,
go put it in the fridge. I'm so concerned.
Yeah, go put your steak in the fridge.
This thing is on pure carbon dioxide. This thing is fine. This thing is. Do you want me to put some water on the dry ice and we can make it smoky in here? That'd be fun.
That's fun.
All right, cool.
I think for Christmas this year or something, I forget when it was, but my mom was telling me that she was at the store and that she'd always wanted to try painting, and she'd never tried painting, but she was at the store and she just saw this paint by watercolor by numbers kit thing, and it was for beginners, and it was on sale, and she was like, I almost got it, but I was just like, I'm not gonna get it. I don't even know why I didn't get it, but I really wish I had, blah blah blah. And I was like, that sucks. And then she went upstairs, and I ran to my car, exact same store, scoured the place. I was like, do you guys have this paint by numbers thing? Blah blah blah. And I looked for it, and I was like, one guy said it's there, and I looked for it and I couldn't find it. Then I got another person to actually go with me to the thing, and they moved something away, and I was like, oh, it's right there. And so I was able to bring it back to her and be like, Mom, you can do the thing. And she was exact same thing. Oh my God. It's so nice to do nice things for people.
What were you going to say, Leedy? I'm curious.
When Steve was trying to figure out what to get me for Christmas, he messaged me and he was like, hey, my mom is getting into painting. And I was trying to figure out what to get her. And I was like, I just don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, is it acrylic or watercolor? And he was like, I don't know.
Well, what do you like?
He never once asked me what would I like. He said, what should I get her? And I was like, is she a beginner? And he's like, she's
19. She's weirdly 19 years old. So what do you think?
She paints comedians' sets.
When my dad wants to get me a gift, the process is usually, what do you want? And then, okay, I'd like this. How do I get that? Can you just do it? Here's my credit card. Actually, can you just buy it and I'll pay you back?
Yes.
This is
that last step.
Yeah. All right.
Adorable. I love it.
So the last thing I was going to say was, because of the way that I thought this through, my ideal situation would have just been, because these things are frozen, you can keep them frozen for a long time. So my ideal situation originally was just order the thing. When it comes in, he'll be here and we can just do this together. And I think that'd be fun. That kind of didn't go well because I knew I was going to go on tour soon. So I was like, yeah, but selfishly, I just would like to have this experience together with them now before I leave again and come back. So I was kind of running out of time. But then I was like, if we do this unveiling and that be the first he knows about it, and then we try to plan some dinner, I know his brain's going to kind of freak out and be like, oh, well, and today's Wednesday, I'm going to, so I was like, I don't think he'll have enough time. So I was like, I came up with this weird plan of being like, let's let him know that some dinner is coming up. Before I tell him what the main course is, which I was like, that is the weirdest solution to this problem. And for most people, it would have been that weird. But funnily enough, for him, I'm just like, hey man, make me dinner on Thursday. He's like, you got it. I don't need to know anything more.
We could have a real gift of the Magi thing happening where he's like, Rob, guess what? I got this super expensive meat from Japan for our dinner.
He has to get duck. I got this. Oh, man.
I want to read two funny comments. Somebody said, how do they send Wagyu beef steaks on a plane?
God damn it. I love it.
Excellent.
I am sick of these motherfuckers.
That was from Jack Dostal. And then Steel Mold says, how many crumbs by volume does your car ride produce per mile?
If you eat too much Wagyu beef on a plane, you can be like, I am sick of all this motherfucking meat steak on this motherfucking plane. So what I was going to tangent with earlier is, like, you're talking about Wagyu, you're talking about chicken thighs. I hate fat. I hate fat in meat. I eat only chicken breasts, and there's a little bit of fat in chicken breasts. If I could get rid of that, I fucking would. I don't know what is missing in my brain, but I love
fat. Actually, your brain is mostly made up of fat. That is actually true.
I hate the way it feels in my mouth.
Jarret
I hate the way it tastes.
Little lean brain, just pure muscle.
Yeah, I got one of those Arnold Schwarzenegger style brains. All in my brain, it's just sweet potatoes and chicken breasts up here. Yeah, I don't know what it is. But anytime someone's like, "Oh, you got to try this. It's a ribeye. It's extra fatty," I don't. I kind of get the extra flavor, but the greasiness and the texture of the fat is so much worse than whatever benefit I'm getting from it that I'm just like, I don't like this.
When I was working at Trader Joe's, I was on the cash register, just totally out of it, whatever. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, me. And this guy went off on fat for the entire checkout, and it was so funny that the cashiers on both sides of me were like quoting him afterwards. He was just like, look at this yogurt, 0% fat. You know what? That's what's wrong with everything. The fat is good for you. You know what your brain's made of? Fat. Why are they removing fat from everything? No fat in this, no fat in this. Fat is good for you. And so the rest of the day, everybody was like, fat.
Right. You also told us about a woman who told you about the thermal paper being carcinogenic.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like people were just dropping knowledge on you.
She was right about the thermal paper.
Somebody comes in and he's like, hey, so how's your day going? It's going pretty good. I'm actually an electrical engineer. Do you know the best way to set up
a fuse box?
No, I did not know that.
You got a downstep from your 2.4 volts.
Speaking of the similar thing, I once took a very hungover and exhausted flight from London back to America and was sitting next to the most obnoxious mom and her obnoxious child. And she kept on just like almost like announcing to the plane that she had a child. She was like, Trevor, don't do that. Trevor, come on, Trevor, be nice. Trevor, you know. And I was just like, oh, this like performative momming was just like,
oh my God,
I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. The kid was like kicking my chair. He was sitting next to
Trevor was kicking your chair.
I don't know what that was his name, you know. For all I know, she could have been talking to her dead child. Anyway. So the kid's kicking my chair and she's like, I'm sorry, he's 2 or whatever. And I was just like, okay, you know, like some people were being nice about it. Like, oh, you know, I get it. And I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then she like said something to the steward, like, thank you for being helpful. Some people aren't as helpful. And I was like, Whatever. So I suffered through this entire flight. I get to the customs in America, and as he's checking me through, this woman like passes behind him, and it's like, now Trevor, what do we say? Trevor, what do we say? And it was so annoying that this guy who didn't spend a flight with her stopped doing my paperwork and was just like. And when he came back, I was like, I was sitting next to her. It was a nightmare. And he's like, oh man. He's like, get out of here, buddy.
That's so nice that you had that moment of camaraderie, though. Yeah, that is actually at Trader Joe's. That was a huge thing. Like the amount of moms that do performative momming is just, it's so cringy. It's just like, oh God, yeah. And but I will say, at least the good thing is that like I think most people around those people are just like realize that that's annoying. That is like a unifier there.
You just made me think of like a scene in like a spy movie where someone's trying to get through customs and like uses an interaction like that to just like be chill with the customs agent. Oh God, this woman like, oh yeah, terrible. There you go, Mr. Bond.
He went through all the trouble to set up that distraction, but he's still using his real name. And what's the purpose of your visit? Spying,
espionage.
Okay. I didn't see murder. I didn't see assassination on the thing, so I just wrote it in myself. That's all right.
But geez, that woman, Trevor, come on.
The way that that interrogators or like police will try to get a confession by somebody by being like, God, women, I freaking hate them, right? You know.
Sometimes you just
that
wish
camaraderie to get something.
Sometimes you just want to murder them and put them in your trunk, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so what do we have you in here for?
Murder, trunk murder,
Drunk murder.
Murder, trunk murder. With that said, would anyone like to see some dry ice?
Yay!
All right, here we go. I'm gonna pour some water on this puppy. Let's see. Did it do it?
Whoa!
Hell yeah.
Double toil and trouble, huh?
This
Cauldron
episode brought to you
bubble.
by T-Drive. At a big load, Rob's got in the
Look at that
hole there.
load. Oh, look at my load. It instantly turns to vapor. I can get ladies pregnant just if they are near in the air around. This is how good T-Drive is.
Don't breathe if you're ovulating.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, speaking of breathing, this is pure carbon, so I should open a window.
Yes.
Dioxide.
Rob, you're making me so interested in learning about science.
Yeah. This
Windows,
ice here.
breathing. Ooh, science is crazy.
The carbon dioxide here sublimates, which means it goes directly from solid to a gas. It skips over the liquid phase, giving you this very cool thing here.
That's how I watch shows that I don't like, but I feel like I should know about for, pop culture references. I watched the first episode and the last episode of the season.
I get women so horny that they do that also.
Oh.
They skip right their vaginas.
They skip right to leaving. All right, that was great. Good
The
night.
vagina juices go right to a gaseous state.
Jesus
So they're just so turned on.
How do I draw this? I don't.
Draw air, Leedy. Figure out.
It'll be
gaseous
easier to draw them
molecules.
leaving than the moment I talk about.
Are you a squirter? Actually, I skipped that step.
I'm a
vapor.
sublimator. I'm a vapor. A vapor is good. But that's when how is the sex? You can see it was sublime.
Nice.
Excellent.
Okay, but you guys have big catch-ups, so let's get to
Oh my
that.
God, big
and Rob,
catch-up.
go open a window.
Yeah, I'm gonna open a window.
So I don't want to skip over anything that Lee's going to catch up on, but I will say that part of our adventure, we just went on a big adventure because we had an 18-hour drive through the night to get from Sacramento to Vancouver.
Garbage.
Right there for you guys.
This is the drive where I looked at the schedule that Steve put out, and I went, I'm not doing any part of this leg of the tour. I was like,
Not
this
even the parts of the
2
tour that don't have this drive in it.
Exactly. Because I didn't realize it was this far into the tour, but I was like, just the idea that the fallout of this drive is going to be there for many days. I was like, nope, I don't want anything. And that's the one I know about. So whatever the thought process going into planning this is, there's other parts where I'm like, why why would you do that? And I won't find out till I'm there. So I'm like, nope, not for me.
Bizarrely, I think that everything before this long drive that was supposed to be the easy part for me was like I don't like this.
Yes.
And then once we did the drive, there was a combination of like manic sleep deprivation plus really enjoying being in Canada because it's so nice here, especially compared to San Francisco because fuck that place. That I've been feeling better since, and the places that we're staying are nicer. You know, it's just like weirdly that was a real journey through fire to get to what has been a really nice couple of days.
This sounds like real Stockholm syndrome. You're like, once the sleep
like
deprivation came in and the waterboarding, and, you know what? I was like, this is actually pretty good.
And, I know we make fun of Steve a lot, but I like, are there better decisions he could be making? I don't think so. Whew, unbelievable. So yeah, Leedy, what were you gonna say? Where's your catch up start?
My catch up is that I'm allowed to legally drink in Canada.
Nice.
Really fun.
Party.
So Bander and I, we went on an adventure yesterday where we were trying to find a karaoke bar because we just wanted to karaoke. But we went to a couple of different bars. We went to one that smelled like smoke, and we were like, no, we're not gonna do that. And so we went next door, and we asked this guy who was outside, like, hey, is this bar open? He was like, well, it was my private event. This was my book release. And we were like, oh, shit. So we started talking to this guy named Goldie. And here's his book, by the way. We bought his book.
Oh, he got a sale. Nice.
Yeah.
The lower chakras.
Lower chakras.
Lower
chakras are very
chakras.
important. Those are the sexual ones, if I remember correctly. His original title was Butt Stuff, but then he changed it to... He changed it to lower chakras.
It's a poetry book, but you wouldn't know that from what he looks like. This is his picture on the back.
Oh, nice.
That's Goldie. He has an entirely tattooed head. He's so cool. But he sent us inside. He was like, yeah, go on and get a drink, but you should go talk to this other comedian friend. If you guys are with a comedy tour, go meet my friend Jeremy. And we shot the shit with Jeremy, and he was fucking awesome. He has a show in Toronto, and he might come to our show in Toronto too. But then my other catch up before this is that a woman called me a cunt at the merch line yesterday.
Ooh, that's more acceptable in Canada.
I don't know that it is. I think it's less acceptable in Canada.
Well,
it's pretty stingy about words.
It's acceptable in British culture, and Canada is more of an offshoot of that. So
I'm with Rob on this one. It's a gray area. It's like transition because they still have the queen on their money here. So they're still
if they have the queen, they still got that cunt on their money. So I think
So this woman came to the merch line and she was like, I want to buy Steve's book, but can you get him to sign it? You've got great tits or something like that. And we were like, oh, Steve's not doing any signing or anything, but all right.
She was saying she wants him to sign it. You've got great tits.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was like a side note. Like, hey, Jarret, can you get Steve to sign this book? You've got great tits, and I would really like to buy a shirt.
I was hoping that you were going to say, well, the problem is you don't. They're saggy, they're a little weird. We don't like triangular shaped here. Get out of here.
So I was like, all right, you've got great tits in there, and then you can tell people Steve said that, and she's like, no, she sucked. He's like, no, what the genuine article?
I don't want it from you.
Yeah.
Oh, what a bitch. What a cunt.
So she's like, I'll get 2 shot glasses. And at this point, I think Leedy said something that was just like engaging, but not being mean. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Leedy?
I told her, if you wanted that signature, she should have paid for the meet and greet. And she was like, I don't have to pay. And she was just being all sassy and rude, and I was like I highly doubt that.
I don't have to pay because of these puppies.
So that's when the shade began.
If she had gotten the meet and greet, then Steve could have told her himself that he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But she took that to mean that she took it to mean something else. So then I was like, okay, if you took that comment to mean that I was saying that you do have to pay for stuff because you're not hot enough or something, then fine, we'll go with that. And it just it went on. At one point, she referred to us as the help.
I love it.
And so that's when I stopped engaging with her and I started engaging with her friend. And I was like, oh my God, your style is amazing. You should help her. And oh God, I hated this woman. I don't remember what all was said, but what?
Well, okay, so there's the thing. So you guys know me on the merch line. Stuff. I am like, let's get this interaction over with. Every other word is that everything for you guys? And then that's it. So I kept on saying, is that all? She got 2 shot glasses, and she was like, and I was like, hey, is that all? She's like, well, I was going to get more stuff, except she's being a cunt about it. And I was like, all right, well, is there anything else you want? And she's like, well, let me get the shot glasses and I'll get a shirt. And I was like, okay, what size? Then I forget if it was like, Leedy said, what size do you want? And she's like, well, you're an extra small. Then that's not me. I'm not an extra small.
Saying that to you or Leedy? She's saying that to you or Leedy?
She said that to Leedy. Because Leedy was like, what size do you want? I'm going to grab the shirt for you. And she's like, well, not an extra small, which is what you are. Because I got these big old
you
bonkers.
showed me. Wow.
What is she trying
God.
to... Yeah,
she's dunking on my size too, ass. Oh God.
I was just like, just buy whatever you fucking want and then leave, please, you know? So Leedy comes over with a shirt and she's like, is that an XL? And Leedy's like, no. And she's like, blah, 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 blah.
I got her a triple XL for her big ass titties. That's what she was saying. But then she was like, this is the wrong size. So I went back and I got her the right size, but it's not going to fit her big ass titties. So I don't know. But,
so I don't want to body shame anybody, but what did this woman look like? I mean, like,
not great.
Titties nice?
Exactly what you're imagining.
Yeah. She wasn't particularly good looking. I don't know. Her boobs were a little big.
The equivalent of a guy who's made his height his personality.
Oh,
yes, but you would think this woman would have like any sort of cleavage showing if she was so proud of these tits, but no, she was wearing like a normally very modest dress.
Interesting.
It was so weird.
Imagine a guy who makes his height his only thing, but he's 5'11", you know?
I had a manager like that once.
She ended this interaction by turning to me and she goes, but I love you. I love you. I love you. And I was like, it's not mutual.
And so to get back at Leedy, she didn't buy a tour shirt and she just bought my shot glasses. And I was like, oh man.
And when we told that to Steve, I was like, Steve, I'll give you $30 for that, for costing you that sale, because it was worth it.
So funny.
Yeah, she fucking sucked. Oh my God. So here's the thing. So we leave Sacramento at like 12:30 in the morning, drive through the night. You know, the sleep is terrible. Even though we have the more comfortable car now, it's still really, really difficult to sleep on the road. We stop in Portland, Oregon to get like some coffee and for people to do pee breaks and stuff like that. And Steve's talking about how he's got this like great restaurant that he likes to go to in Seattle. And he's like, does anybody want some? And then Rivers makes a joke. He goes, I'm trying to skip my meals because I've been putting on a few pounds. And because we're all loopy-doopy from being sleep deprived, we just decided to run with this gag that Rivers is fat and that we hate him for it. And we're just like, you really need to lose some weight, man. I'm embarrassed to be seen on that stage. And Bander points out, he's like, Rivers eats like nutritional powders. So we're like ragging him for eating too much powder. We're like, yeah, put down the powder, piggy. Oink, oink. Hitting the powder a little much, aren't you?
Great.
So I don't want to take credit for this because this really was a group effort, but we get back in the car at one point and somebody brought like a croissant from this place. So we use the bathroom and everyone's like, does anybody want a bite of this croissant? And I'm like, not you, Rivers. No, you don't get any. All right. Fat asshole. We start leaving the parking lot. Silence. Rivers has got this like blanket and he's like, does anybody want to share this blanket with me? Silence for a second. I go, is there any to share, you fat piece of shit? And that's where Leedy's drawing of me calling Rivers a fat piece of shit.
I have one more. At one point, Bander was telling us what the code to get into this this hotel room was, and he told us it was like 900 pound. And I said, are you sure you're not reading Rivers' weight?
So yeah, now we got the running gag of Rivers is a fat piece of shit and Bander's mom gives hand jobs.
I got a really sweet video from Bander and Rivers because, you know, as you guys know, Rivers picked up, I think where he left off with Brett, calling my set trash and garbage and whatever. And so I just get this great video. It's just Bander. He goes, hey, Rob, this is John from The Road. And hey, look, oh my God, it's your act. And there's just, it's just like huge 3 like industrial size like garbage bins. And Rivers is there too, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I think that's all of it. That's the whole thing." And then Vander brilliantly he says, "Yeah, I think it's his one man." There's 3 huge containers. He's like, "Yeah, I think it's his one man show. Hey, look, it's in 3 acts."
Mwah.
Love you guys. Miss you.
Awesome. So then we get to Vancouver. We're all like delirious. And we have 2 shows that night. We had 2 shows the night before in Sacramento, 2 shows in Vancouver. And we were just having so much fun, just being like psychotic, like weirdos, just like running around, just being like, just like dancing. It's so just like bananas. And then the shows were the best shows of the entire fucking tour. Because Steve goes out and he's like, we just had an 18-hour drive and all of us are just like being weird on stage, have some really great Q&A moments, has some really great riffs in the middle of the show. We don't get to sleep that long the next day because we have to drive like halfway to Calgary because that's like another crazy long drive. But because there wasn't really anything there, we were driving through like these beautiful mountain ranges with like incredible vistas and views. And the place that we were staying was like this, I don't know how you would describe it. It's like a resort almost, where you get like these little condos that are like gorgeous and pristine with like a beautiful view of the river. And there were some hot tubs. So everybody got high and hung out in the hot tubs at night and just like hung out. And then I went to sleep early because that's what I do. And then these guys went and got fast food and hung out for a little bit. And so, yeah, ever since the long ass drive, it's been like crazy fun. It's been great times.
Oh, that's so
yeah,
cool.
this has been the reprieve for the hellish tour that it has been so far.
Yeah, San Francisco was a nightmare. Sacramento wasn't much better. And then all of a sudden we passed through this sleep-deprived craziness, and now everything's great. Everything's wonderful. Rob.
The bench in San Francisco.
Oh, God, don't get me started. Don't tell Jarret about the bench. You wouldn't like him when he hears about the bench. I forgot one thing I forgot to mention when we were doing the Steve episode is that Leedy and I were in the same room, so in order for there to be no echo on the mics, she did it from the closet. And she was like, yeah, just let me get a lamp to bring in there. But all the lamps were like a little bit too big, but I had a small one in my room. So Leedy was like, can I take this lamp? And I was like, sure, go ahead. And for no reason whatsoever, Leedy grabbed it and like a gremlin was like, mine. And she just like ran away like, that was before the drive that made us all loopy. That was just regular ass Leedy.
I love
I'm a gremlin. I see a lamp.
There's nothing regular here. Nothing regular about it.
I have a great video of Leedy when we're coming back from tour with her huge backpack on and her coat over it. So she just actually looks like a weird gremlin, like doing the exact same thing going up an escalator, going,
Mwah, we love this gremlin character, Leedy.
I guess I didn't realize it was a running character until you guys have brought this many examples and add all these things.
I might as well pile on. The first time that when I saw Leedy in the airport when we first going on tour, seeing her walk with her giant backpack was great. Like she wasn't walking as much, like each foot was just like stopping her from the thing crushing her. That's what it kind of looked like. Just like
my fucking life.
God. It's great.
and also she looked like a gremlin. All right, let's get to the jokes, huh?
Let's get to the bits. All right, does anybody want to guess the order?
We have a guest from Steel Mold for RJB. What's our order?
We got another winner, everybody. It's RJB.
Get out of here. Wow.
Rob Jarret Brett. The order this week is Rob Jarret Brett.
All right. Take it away, Rob.
Great.
We will get
So
you
this
that
isn't
gift as soon as we figure out what it is.
I don't know. This is really a joke yet or at all, or I'm not sure. Let's see what this is. This was just an observation I've now had. 2 different bathrooms, two different situations in bathrooms. I don't know. In my brain, this observation to me marked the logical conclusion to some of the transgender bathroom discussion, like at least amongst woke people, I should say, right? Like there are people who are never going to get it. But basically, I was walking into a bathroom. I was at a theater in New York. We don't care about whatever. And from my recollection, it used to be men, women. Then there was a period of time where people who were trying to be cool and with it were just like, maybe it's all gender, and then people even got kitschy with it, like, whatever, we don't care, man, like, do whatever you want, just flush, person, and I'm like, okay, you're being pretty cutesy about it. And then I've seen this twice now, it finally has gone, stalls, urinals stalls, which fucking cracked me up so much because it was almost like, because I feel like what happened was, when it was all gender, there were just way too many cis men walking into way too many women's bathrooms, making everybody uncomfortable. And then they went, you know what? We're actually not that cool with all genders. We don't like this. So let's just make them aware where the urinals are so that the people fucking get which one they should go to. Which is kind of exciting because at the end of the day, at the end of all of this discussion, we're still like, cis men, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you using the same bathroom as the women. Please just don't do that. Because there was a time when it was like, yeah, man, whatever, we're all humans. And then pretty quickly we're like, we're not all humans, get out of here. Please just use the urinal, you fucking sick piece of shit.
We're humans and you're men.
Anyway, that's how I interpreted it. I don't know if I'm off base there, but it very much made me smile internally. Is there something there, do you think?
I think there's definitely something there. The only logical problem I would point out is that, like, now the difference, if it has come like almost full circle, it's not a complete full circle because it's like you can go use the women's bathroom if no women are there.
Sure. Yeah, I'm cool with that. You're right, and which is progress, and also like because I don't think because remember, and I would have to make this distinction that this is amongst like woke circles. This is amongst progressive people who are trying to come up with like the right solution for everybody. But I think the right solution certainly includes cis men not interfering with the women's bathroom, period. Just like, we don't want that. That's the only thing we're sure we don't want. It's okay if a trans woman does this or a trans man does that, that's fine. You just stay over there. Or at least like give you the strong hint that that's the case, you know? Because I saw it and like, I was like, there is 0% chance that I'm walking into the stalls bathroom. Like I'm never like, they are telling me in so many words to not go in there.
This isn't the men's room. This isn't the women's room. But there's urinals in this one.
So do you want to be
for whatever you think that means? You just run with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It almost feels like there's a certain type of person, and because of my perspective, I always view this as like shitty white dudes and Republicans who, when progress is trying to be made, they have this argument that's like, well, what if crazy psychotic people do this? And we're like, no one's going to do this. And then they do it to prove us wrong. You know, like, what if creeps go into the women's room? And we're like, it's not going to happen. And they're like, well, we'll show you. And then they go in there like, wow. And they're like, okay, well, I guess maybe there's a happy middle ground here where we call them urinal places and non-urinal places. Good. Thank you. They're doing the same thing with voter fraud where they're like, there's no voter fraud. And they're like, well, what if we do a lot of it?
I totally agree. And I think, one of the strongest arguments I've seen against that stupid narrative, which I loved and I ran with and wrote a bit about too. I'll just share that right now, actually, or a concept, which was they'd said, it's like, oh, so your problem is with cis men, not with trans women, which is the argument to that. Like, if you're concerned about crazy people going in or pretending to be women, I was like, oh, so you agree that the problem is actually cis men being creeps, not trans women who need to use a bathroom. Agreed? And they're like, no, that's not what we said like that. That is exactly what you just said. So I love that retort to the point where it's crazy to me because years ago when the North Carolina bill was being more prominent, I remember thinking, I was like, because then that was also during a time when there was some pretty public like horrific sexual assault charges that were publicized as well. And what drove me crazy was the fact that you had these men on trial for legitimate sexual assault allegations, and they were being defended to the nth degree, but you're so concerned all of a sudden about our daughters and our wives being infiltrated, and I'm like, when men do it, like, we wish you cared this much about rape allegations and sexual assault and people being brought to justice. So you don't really care. It's weird when a woman does get sexually assaulted, you're so curious about what she was wearing. And now when a person might go into a woman's bathroom and sexually assault someone, you're still concerned about what he was wearing. Because if it was just blue jeans and a shirt, you're like, boys will be boys. But if it's a dress, you're like, who is that fucking psycho? Get that person. So you can never wear a dress. That's the whole. Whenever you're wearing a dress, you're at fault.
Well, it's almost like
they're fascists.
A little bit unrelated, but I once went to a bar in New York, and there were 2 bathroom doors. One was marked with a Star Wars Rebel insignia, and one was with Imperials. And I was like, just staring at it, like, I don't. What? I was like trying to go through the Star Wars movies in my head. So I was like, Rebels. I don't.
Obviously, men are the Empire.
Of course.
Oh, this was years ago, but me and my friends went to this Indian restaurant that had this sign on their bathroom that I went back. I was laughing so hard. I was like, their sign is both progressive and not progressive, because it was like, we don't care what's under there. Use whatever bathroom you like. And so I was like, oh yeah, thank you, Indian restaurant. But then the graphic was, the usual men and women that are on the bathroom signs. It was that, except the man was peeking under the woman's dress.
Oh my God.
So I was like, you were so close. You were so close to these restaurants.
The clip art with the circle and the line through it, that was an extra $4.99. So
in New Mexico, my favorite restaurant was a Mexican restaurant, and their bathrooms
New Mexican restaurant.
I gotta turn you guys up because I can't.
I'm sorry. I said a New Mexican restaurant. This happened earlier where I said something and you went, ha, and I was like, in no way she heard that.
Sorry.
It was great.
So
I was like, nope, she didn't do that.
it's her version of, oh, yes, absolutely. What is that?
So sorry.
No, don't apologize. It was super funny. I was like, all right, I'm not being picked up.
On the bathrooms, there's damas y caballeros, and there's a picture of a woman and a man, but I overheard this person throwing a fit because she did not want that to be in Spanish. She was like, how do I know? It's like, the pictures. It's for dumbasses like you.
But they're wearing sombreros.
I've been living in the Heights for some time now, and large Dominican population here as well. And it's funny because on some of the ambulances, it'll say like emergency, but then it'll also say emergencia, and then the hospital will also say el hospital. And I was like, I think they'll get it. I think everyone's gonna be cool. There's no way that a Spanish-speaking person is going to look at hospital and not put together that it's also el hospital.
Someone's like recovering from their gunshot wound and they got the oxygen mask on their heads. It's like, where the fuck am I? Doctors, nurses, stethoscopes. What the fuck is this place?
They're wandering around outside going, El Hospital? And people are like, right there. And they're like, no, El Hospital.
Yeah, I love this idea, Rob. I think it's going to be a really great bit.
Is there something else that you could do? Like, is there another argument that you could like make up a scenario where it comes full circle?
I kind of agree with you what you said earlier, because when I started to consider it, I obviously see the good and the progress. So I didn't want to I was almost nervous to dive into something specific because I didn't want someone to mentally retort with yeah, but if you're like a pre-op trend, I'm like, I know. I like it. I'm not saying it's bad. I was just trying to find what is funny about it while hopefully ignoring the other part. But if I could,
you can just acknowledge it in the joke. I think
that's true. That's actually a good point too. Yeah,
I had this joke about the don't say gay bill, about how I know what it actually means, but it sounds like is that you just can't say the word gay. Like people have had problems coming up with another word for gay. Like a kid's gonna be like, "Excuse me, Mr. Teacher, why are those two men kissing?" And he'll be like, well, because they're butt pirates." And I still had to put in. The problem was that's not what the bill means. So I just put in I know that's not what it means, but that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So you can always solve, I think, with that.
That's funny.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. That's a really good point. Well, you know what? I know we had a nice long catch up, so I am cool to just leave it at that today. Thank you, everyone, so much.
All right.
Okay.
Lively
Great
feedback.
bit. All right, Rob Ryan, great job. Next up, we got Jerry Bearstein. Okay. This is a little bit of a longer bit, and I think there might be a couple holes in the logic, but tell me what you guys think about this. It feels like if you're going to survive these days, you need some blinders. You need to be able to detach from reality. Otherwise, you just would lose your mind. Like, you can't live in the reality of the impending climate crisis and also go see Top Gun. Because if you really do internalize it, you'd be like, this is no time for seeing a movie. We need to be doomsday prepping. We need to move to a compound. It's like if you're 90% of the people who are living today, you're acting like COVID is over. You're just living your life. Like, everything is back to normal. I'm eating in a restaurant. I'm at the movies. No one is wearing a mask. That's fine. Everyone I know has COVID. That's fine. I've had COVID 7 times. That's fine. All these facts are unrelated. Or maybe you're like me. I still wear masks whenever I go indoors around strangers, but I don't wear them around friends because I trust them to make COVID responsible decisions, even though I see them not doing that. We're on the bus together. I'm wearing a mask. He's not. And as soon as we get to my apartment, I take off my mask as though this guy's lungs weren't just raw dogging everyone he's seen all fucking day. I'm so careful around everyone except my friends. It's sort of like, if I'm going to get tired from COVID, I want it to be from Dave. All right. And that's my bits.
The last part I liked the most just because it finally got to you undercutting your own point, which I think is very funny. I don't think that those two ideas were related enough where we couldn't just get to that fun part where you're like, if you're just like, hey, I'm Jarret Berenstein, I still wear a mask even though my friends don't. But for some reason, I trust them even though I see them not doing the thing. It's almost as if I don't mind getting COVID as long as I get it from Dave. Like, those beats to me were super funny. I'm like, I love that. I still am very protective. No one around me is, but I don't care. They're my buddies.
Okay.
So that thing, joke structure-wise, is super funny to me. I really like that.
So, question for you. It doesn't have to be, in depth. Do you think that the top portion has any value to the part that you like, or is it a separate joke, or is that part just like trash?
I wouldn't call it trash. I do think that based on what I just kind of laid out, like, I don't need it at all. If it just happens to be there and it's part of the larger thing, of course, that's great.
Okay.
But no, I don't need any of it for me to logically be 100% with you right there.
Can I just say for the first part, well, why not? If I was on an elevator that is slowly going into a volcano of lava, and I had my phone with me, and I was with someone, I'd be like, well, you want to watch Top Gun?
My other potential critique here is that, and this has to do with maybe the logic of it, maybe my own personal taste, which is that I see global warming as a very existential threat to the planet, to a lot of things. It can be, there's going to be some pretty bad famine and other such things potentially down the road. But COVID, I don't have that relationship with. I'm part of the 90% where I'm like, yeah, it's calculated risk time. And, if this small percentage of people are like getting extremely and severely sick because of it, but not when you're vaccinated and boosted and all that stuff. So I don't know. So part of me is like putting those back to back for me. I'm like, yeah, I can totally get behind the idea of like, hey, we have this looming existential, our kids are definitely not going to live in the same world we lived in thing. And we're like, wow, it's not going to stop me from fucking and doing things. Versus COVID, I just don't put them in the same category. So I don't know if I'm alone on that, that's fine. But I worry that one muddies the other argument, because I actually love and totally agree with the global warming idea where you're like, well, what are you going to do? Everybody who's anybody who seems to know anything about this is telling us it's the tipping point is here. We've gone too far. This is no good. Like, there will be a world, but it'll be a world we don't recognize, and we're gonna have to prepare for that now. And blah 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 blah. And you're just like, yeah. But that's like my new credit card expiration. I'm like, that's never coming. That's fake, phony Futureland. Might as well just keep watching Top Gun Maverick.
So it's almost like the middle part where I say 90% of the people are doing this. I'm making fun of you guys, the audience, because everybody,
which is tough.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was wondering, is there like a something that I could add on to there, the way that you would say my wife is great before you start talking about what's wrong with women, or I know you guys are just living your lives and everything, but you're insane for not caring about COVID as much, something like that.
Yeah, my instinct is to quickly get to that last point that you made, right? Seeing the flaw in your logic at the end is what excited me the most, because I'm like, it's weird that you're admitting that 90% of the people feel this way, and you're also being like, and you're wrong about it, which I'm like, I don't know how wrong they are. This is a collective choice. I don't, whatever, you know what I mean? So I had the same issue when I started doing some of my not like don't drink bits, because as soon as I said it, there was this reaction from the audience of like, oh, you, I don't know if I like you or trust you. And so pretty quickly I had to think of like, all right, I have to make sure that they know that I know that it's weird, and maybe even I have to like push the fact that I'm wrong, which is where I came up with like some of these jokes right out the gate, just being like, just so you know. And then like once I was able to do that, it felt in my like heart and head that I was like, whew, I got past like the biggest hurdle, which is this weird feeling from them that I am somehow being holier than thou, or that I don't understand them, or that whatever. So
maybe I could just flip the two. Maybe I just do the one about me first, and then after we're done laughing at me, then maybe they'll be a little bit more pleasant spirited about me going, also, you people are fucking psychopaths. I can't believe the way that you are acting like fucking blah, 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 you know, whatever.
Yeah, that is true.
And I wish, because it does seem like I both get that climate change is such a huge thing that it's not like we can go out and start like doing it right now, but also that we should like each one of us individually should be building algae farms on their roofs like right now. And when you're done with yours, you should do your neighbors. And when you're done with that, you should, because like there's so much that needs to get done, and there are enough people with enough free time to do it, but we're just not doing it.
Oh, you know what's interesting about this? Sorry to cut you off here.
No, I'm just ranting.
But when it came to COVID, right, the solution was actually very kind of difficult. Every single person had to do a thing. We need to make sure that everybody all got together and like collectively either, you know, stayed home, got boosted, blah, 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 you know, to have a fighting chance at like saving the most amount of lives. When it comes to climate change, though, it's not really about the individual. It's about like maybe 50 or 60 companies getting their shot. It's like, we're just talking about a couple dozen people, and we're just like, get the shot. You know? Just stop doing what you're doing so vehemently.
And they're like, no.
We don't have to convince billions of people. We just have to convince about like 7 people to just stop being so crazy.
Well, but this is about the future. We don't have that kind of foresight. Like with COVID, it's like we're going, you need to save the lives of people who are alive now. But then for the future, we're like, we have to save the lives of people in the future. And like, well, they're not even here yet. I don't fucking know them.
Well, 2 things about that. Number one, it's really funny to do both of those, because if you do the one that's like, all right, COVID is right now, we need you to wear a mask so you don't have to kill people right now. And people were like, no. There were people who were still like, yeah, I see them dying, and still no. And the other thing is that climate change is here right now. Like the damage is happening right now. I mean, maybe it's not happening right here. Maybe it's happening a couple miles over there, or even further away. And there's going to be worse stuff happening in the future, but it's here and we should be doing things right now. So I don't know. I don't know how to parse that. Maybe that's too big of an idea to put into like that one little section there.
New Jersey made plastic bags illegal. So it's pretty good.
Oh, well, in that case, let's go see Top Gun, guys. Come on. We did it. It's over.
I feel like collectively we're just. I've known many dudes who will just kind of be like, "It'll be fine. It'll be fine." Like, just fine. And then it does for some reason turn out, and they're like, "Yeah, I told you." But they're just saying that on the gamble that like it might turn out okay. So probably what will happen is it won't be fine. They'll be like, "Oh, I guess I was wrong," or somebody will figure something out, and then they'll be like, "See, I told you."
Yeah.
And that's like collectively, I feel like what's happening.
We are really asking science to do a lot of work for us. You know, we're just like, well, so long as somebody invents a way to eat plastic, you know, we're gonna be okay. You know, but thanks for the notes, everybody. I really appreciate it.
You got it. I think you got some good stuff in there.
Hell yeah! All right,
Well, next up is me, but before me,
ooh, does anybody else want to do the Patreon pitch today?
Or does Leedy have another joke?
Ooh, yeah, you got another bit.
Oh man, well maybe.
You ever acting like a cunt and then some lady calls you a cunt and you're like,
you're the cunt.
great word economy. Sign up for our Patreon. You can support for just $1 a month. There's tons of extra content. We got the high writing challenges. We got the great ideas episode. We got kids on bikes where we play D&D style game. That was a blast. Tons of great stuff. And even if you don't want to watch it, you can just support the show for only $1 a month. You can get extra special stuff if you pay a little bit more money a month, but just $1, that's all it takes to support the show. We appreciate it. We love you. And next up is A bread drug.
Bread drug.
Did I do all right, Jarrett? How was
You
that?
did perfect.
That was
You do it every week.
No. I don't know a lot about flowers. I went to the florist recently, and she was like, peonies? And I was like, I'll use the bathroom very much. Thank you very much. Can I get away with that joke? That feels like one of those jokes where I've had a few jokes where I'm like, this seems just like it's just too daddish, and then I do it, and the audience fucking loves it.
I think that as I've gotten more mature as a comedian, I've felt that more and more. Where I go, this joke is beneath me, right? And I go, no, it's not. It's just clever, and you came up with it, and it's wordplay, and people still like that, and you don't have to think that just because you're more sophisticated as a joke writer and listener that you have to do this thing. So I think jokes like that are super fun and should always be in the mix for sure.
All right.
100% agree. In fact, peonies are Kirsten's favorite flower, and the only way I remember that is because I always go to the store and I go, peon meats. Yes, okay, good. And yet, even though I thought of that, I still wasn't like, oh, I'll put this together in a clever joke. So I 100% think that this is not unworthy of your stage time.
All right,
yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Surely, I mean, obviously my first thought is to go to other flowers, but I don't know if that's your style or not. But I don't know.
Do you have any poop on my chests?
Do you have any poop?
Can I get a dozen poop on my chests?
I don't know. All right, so I don't want to just go to that.
Hydrangea, tulip, rose.
There's a periwinkle. That's a funny word.
Hydrangea? I didn't even know you.
What would the florist think in that moment? How would she respond? Is she the type of person who's
She's like, oh, it's a flower. I'm like, well, I'm still not going to pee on it. Still going to use the restroom. I'm also crashing pretty hard.
Oh, no.
All right, that's a simple one.
There's hibiscus, dahlia.
something.
It's a pansy.
Oh, pansies could be a funny one.
Pansies are funny.
Hey, it's 2022. Come on.
All right, you pansy. Wait.
I'm pretty bad at family trees. I'm like, you're my grandma's sister's granddaughter, so I think that makes you my dad?
Have you done this one already? I feel like I've seen that.
I saw this
tweeted
as a
it.
tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super funny. I like that.
Yeah, that
Couldn't wait till the episode.
That makes you my dad. Because like as a tweet, it's super funny, but on stage, I think I would almost be like licking my chomps, like waiting for you to screw up more.
Oh, somebody's like,
even
no,
more clever
and I'm
ways.
like, my second dad?
My dad once removed.
Yeah. I like the idea of playing with once removed, where maybe it was like my mom. This isn't true, but it's like if your mom remarries, you're like, oh, that's my dad once removed, my old dad. This is my dad now replaced.
This is a slightly different direction, maybe a potential button, but I do think it's funny the kind of person who the only reason why they get in the weeds on their family trees is trying to figure out if they can have sex with somebody, It's just like, oh, we're fourth cousins? Okay, So if you were like, so I guess you're my dad? And they're like, no. And you'd be like, oh, well, then we can fuck. Then we can fuck.
I like the idea of making a family tree where, okay, so let's say like you legitimately tried to get into this. Is there just something fun that you could explore there where, what is your ethnic background, Brett?
98 point something % Eastern European / Jewish. That's what Ancestry.com said. 0.002% Sub-Saharan African.
You can say the N-word then.
No, I can't. I could say. That was a joke I tried.
Ancestry.com.
So it takes the right crowd.
Ancestry.com sends you how much of the N-word you're allowed to say in the report.
That one got bander.
That's a keeper then. That one worked.
Bander, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. Where have you been? I don't understand. We've said so many funny things.
I'm cool with just calling it there and seeing what Leedy's got for us.
Because Rob asked, I don't really have a joke, but I thought of an experience from last night, which I can share with you.
I would love to hear that.
All
Here
right.
we go. So doing all of these shows, I get hit on quite a bit by people who are quite a bit older than me. And it feels like they will go through a lot of hurdles to avoid the fact that I'm very young. for example, last night I was talking to this dude and he was like, you have a bit of a baby face, don't you? And I was like, yep. And he was like, what are you, like early 30s? I was like, I'm 20. He goes like 26, 25-ish? I was like, I'm 20. And then he goes, because I have a baby face too. I'm 42. And a couple minutes later, I was talking to someone else and I was like, it's just nice enough to be able to drink because in America, I'm not old enough. And he goes, oh, you're that young? Why didn't you say? I was like, that's it.
Like,
I don't know if there's anything.
You can't drink in America when you're 27?
They changed the laws down there? That's weird, man.
Well, he's like, what are you, like 30 something? You're like, no, I'm 20. And he's like, plus 10?
I love this cognitive dissonance guy hitting on you, trying to justify it in his own brain, that kind of thing, that this could work or this makes sense. You almost kind of comedically want to avoid you being too definitive, I think, right out the gate, because it's fine. It just turns into a different joke where it turns into, I am just ignoring what you said, sure, versus plausible deniability that he could ignore this, even though the signs are all there.
This guy there was zero plausible deniability, because before that, I even mentioned the fact that I had a boyfriend, and it was just
right.
Whoop.
Well, you know what? Your story is your story.
Single. Wow, that's crazy.
But I think that's great. What a funny story.
Yeah, great bit, Leedy.
All right.
Thank you.
And now, sing us in, Rob.
Rob, sing the song.
Leedy just told us a joke, but now she's got drawings for us. Her joke was really funny. It was a story, and now she's got drawings for us.
Yeah. Good job.
Great.
Excellent song, Rob.
Oh, boy. All right. First, I have. Wait, Rob. When you open that, you'll have to put it in the fridge.
You encapsulated my whole personality.
The psychotic defiance on his face. Oh yeah. Will I?
It's like my whole being right there.
We have Rob staring at me while with his hand on the tape of the Wagyu beef box, me explaining that he'll have to go to the fridge, him with a really scary smile and acknowledgement, and then pulling the tape back while not breaking eye contact.
Leedy, it's a great little facsimile of their logo there too on that box. Well done.
Yeah, I think it's a hippo now, but
almost looks like a chode and a ball sack.
Oh God!
Straight from Japan.
I see an angel that's going, hold up. I see it.
Oh yeah.
Crowd starts like, stop. Okay, I'm flying right now.
This is great. I ordered from Rorschach.com, and whatever I think is in the box is just what's in the box. Oh my God, it's my daddy issues. This is so weird.
Next up, I have women. Am I right? Don't you just want to murder them?
We got, I think, me as a cop.
Yeah, it's interrogation Brett.
Interrogating somebody. Just trying to get in good with them.
Then I have...
Hey, vagina.
Oh, the vapor badge. When she squirts so hard, it turns into gas. I don't think I need to explain what we're looking at here.
It's just pure sublime.
Oh my God.
Belly laughs for Jarret. Belly laughs for Jarret. Yay!
I was blown away by this, but particularly because you were like, I don't know how I'm going to draw that. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not seeing it today. But
the addition of vapor badge is really a nice touch.
I agree.
Thank you.
There's a lot going on with this vagina, but we'll talk about it maybe another time.
Oh, come on. Then I have that one. Just a cute little.
I love it.
Is that Rob with the dry ice?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Rob.
Double
this is
toil and
me
trouble.
at a good old cauldron, just mixing some cauldron juice together, saying double toil and trouble.
Then I have.
This is Gremlin Leedy. She looks like an actual gremlin with big old green ears and a big nose, and she's stealing the lamp from Jarret's.
And she's got a big old backpack
the
on.
giant backpack on too.
Yeah, which is not I mean, this is accurate.
Actually, yeah, it's weird because that's exactly what I remember seeing at the airport. Just like this big hunking backpack crushing this poor thing.
There it is.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then I have just this drawing that I already made.
That is wonderful.
I wanted
Proud of you,
to
fat
show
piece
it.
of shit. Jarret yelling at Rivers.
And I also want to commend Leedy for drawing me exactly how I was dressed in my pajamas during that long drive. I switched to pajamas for the long drive, and oh my god, game changer. Highly recommended.
We have a few more.
All right.
I have
Butt pirate.
This is one that some folks maybe have seen before.
This is a butt pirate. This is a classic pirate, as you might expect, wearing a big old hat and a patch, and he's got an earring. Only thing is that under his big old coat, it looks like he's just wearing pink underwear. And he's got a rainbow flag with 2 crossing dicks as opposed to, I think, 2
crossbones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of skull and crossbones, it's just bones.
It's just bones.
Then I have
peonies. We've got a urinal, which is great because it kind of like blends a couple jokes together. It feels like we have a nice urinal that says peonies, and we have actual peonies flowers inside and on top of the urinal.
Peonies.
Peonies.
And last but not least,
This is referencing Brett's comment earlier that once he started eating chicken thighs, he said the rest of the chicken is a desert. And so now here we are, where Leedy drew a chicken with cacti and tumbleweeds and all of the white meat part, but in that beautiful, beautiful dark meat part, there's a beautiful oasis she drew right there. And it looks great.
And I should have put this one towards the beginning. That is it for me.
Leedy Corbin, where can people find you?
You can find me on all the socials under just my name, Leedy Corbin. Please join my Patreon. I would really appreciate that. And also, I'm going to be in Edinburgh. I probably have said this on multiple different ideas.
Say it again.
I'm going to be in Edinburgh, probably ending a show called Setlist, which will be very fun. So come see that.
What dates are this happening?
Oh, sorry. August 4th through 17th, I believe.
Woo-hoo!
Very cool.
All right. Thank you, Leedy. Thank you, Brett and Rob and me for doing this.
Thank you all for joining us. We will see you again soon. You guys rock. Great up.
Outro goes here.
All right.
Thanks so much for watching. Check back every Monday for new episodes, or you can listen wherever you enjoy podcasts. If you want to help support the show, tell your friends how much you like Is This Anything? Or get involved, like an episode, share, comment, subscribe. If you want more Is This Anything, you got to join our Patreon at patreon.com/ITAPod. We have a ton of awesome exclusive content on there, and you can join for as little as $1 a month. Check out the links in the description, and hopefully we'll see you next week.